and truth is not subjective. Hi, I'm Wilsa. Before I start posting here, I wanted to properly introduce myself. I'm an Iranian Canadian who's been living in Canada since November 2014. When I initially entered Canada, I got introduced to activist circles through an organization called the Immigration Services Society of BC. These communities advocated for migrant justice and anti racism, and my involvement in those basically shaped much of my politics and worldview as an 18-year-old. I entered SFU in 2017, and at the time, I felt that this school was not progressive enough for me because I was heavily influenced by the spaces I was a part of. And as a result, when COVID started, I decided to do my master's degree in York University. I initially wanted to do my law degree in New York, but because of COVID, I decided to postpone that and just do a master's in the meantime. I opted for York because it was the most left leaning school in Canada. I thought they're very progressive, they would get me. But something had shifted in me before I entered York University. In the months leading to my move to Ontario, I had become heavily involved in the Iranian political scene online thanks to COVID and isolation and being chronically online all the time. So I did not enter York with the same mindset. I was now at the most left leaning school in Canada, arguably, while I had a completely different mindset from the time that I had applied to it. And it was not fun because I had to deal with professors very much questioning my understanding and comprehension skills just because I did not agree with them. My views now differed from them. I was always against the regime. I never supported the regime. I'm a daughter of former political prisoners, and I had firsthand experience of this regime's violence and brutality because I was pepper sprayed at the age of 13 or 14, and I was arrested by the morality police over my attire at the age of 15. So it wasn't like I was unfamiliar with the nature of this government. But being in Canada had introduced me to leftist Iranians who appeared to be opposing the Islamic regime, but in fact, in 2017 2018 protests, when I was trying to be a voice for Iranians and organize protests here in support of them, I realized that those leftist friends of mine are actually regime apologists. So I cut off all my connections with them. And since then, I was really not in contact with any Iranian who was politically active. As a result, I didn't have a great understanding or a very in-depth understanding of a lot of things that were going on. So I was very much against the regime, but I was here outside of Iran and being fed misinformation, propaganda, and it was hard to always be able to tell which one is true and which one is false. I was doing a good job, I think, especially after 2019, when I realized how much censorship there is in the media regarding what's going on in Iran. But it wasn't until I got in touch with Iranian activists on the ground inside Iran that I understood the depth of the problem and what we were dealing with in terms of the propaganda machinery here in the West. So, when I entered York, I actually wanted to do my research on propaganda in Western media and academia. But I realized I was in the heart of one of those propaganda machines. And as a result, I did not finish my degree because I could not tolerate being told that I do not know what's going on in my country, that what is happening to us and the brutality that we experience is just a matter of cultural difference, and that speaking out against a lot of those things is racist. When I was there, I had to basically set the record straight regarding Islamism, Sharia laws, and I also had to study materials saying what is going on in our countries is not actually um, oppression, but it's just who we are and it's our way of life. And that was when I realized that I was dealing with a new type of racism, racism of low expectations. Nevertheless, I did not finish my master's degree and I returned to Vancouver. And almost immediately after my return to Vancouver, Mahsa Amini got killed over her hijab. And well, now I was expecting my friends, my very progressive friends, to speak out against what's going on in Iran. In 2017 and 18, 2019, 20, they were completely silent. They never uttered a word. And I thought, okay, maybe it's just not very relevant or relatable to them. But now, this was a feminist issue, so I expected much more. And instead, what I heard was deafening silence. And this reminded me of a conversation I had with a friend of mine during my time at York, who told me speaking out against the hijab is basically a racist thing to do, and I should not be doing it because it's not okay. And I put two and two together and realized they probably aren't saying anything because it's racist to talk against the hijab and being killed over it. Since then, I've basically isolated myself. I've never been more isolated in my life because I now knew that all those claims of being progressive, being pro human rights, being pro women's rights, they're just claims and they only took shape in reality if it was a trend. When George Floyd got killed, there was an uproar here. People were angry. People were on the streets. People were posting nonstop for months. And there were black people who wanted us to even pay for the therapy, and all of it was justified. But when Mahsa Amini got killed at the hands of the police in Iran, not a single progressive reached out to even ask me how I was doing as an Iranian woman who actually had first-hand experience of dealing with the morality police. That could easily be me. And it's very traumatizing when you know you could easily have been killed and you're not killed and someone else got killed, and then there's survivor's guilt and all of those things. But no one cared because it's our way of life, I guess. Then came October 7, 2023, and the same progressives now either cheered for women being killed and raped or they stayed completely silent about it. And I, having been in York and knowing that there are lies being told in academic circles, I had done my research regarding Israel finally and realized much of what I was told was not true. So when October 7 happened, I spoke out, I supported Israel, and I even lost my job due to speaking out against Palestinian violence, against Islamism. I lost my job in the government, which is kind of funny. As a refugee escaping Islamism, I now lost my job over speaking out against it. So it kind of feels like I fled something just to deal with it again here in Canada. But it was important to speak out during October 7 because I knew how it felt to hear nothing but silence when your people are being slaughtered. And because of my support for Israel, because of my support for reestablishing the monarchy system in Iran, people like me are being called fascists. So, in this channel, I want to speak about different topics to address this claim that we are fascist. I want to expose the lies that you're being told in media and academia, and also the truths that you're being denied and never reach your ears. And truth is not subjective.